Welcome back to the Michigan Business Beat, brought to you on the Michigan Business Network, coming to you from our studios in downtown Lansing. But we're going to go way up north right now to the auxiliary studio for CAR, the Center for Automotive Research, and Carla Bailo, the CEO. How are you doing, Carla?
I'm doing fabulous.
You look amazingly relaxed for someone in your position, Carla.
Well, what we kind of have this little lull after MBS because we all work so darn hard and you just turn it on for several days in a row.
Yeah.
So, a lot of us have the opportunity to do a little bit of unwinding, but we're already starting to plan for next year.
Well, you have to. That's a year-round venture. It certainly is. And of course, MBS is the management briefing seminars that you do every year, usually up north. Let's talk a little bit about that and how this event this year went.
Well, from everything we've gathered from the feedback of the attendees, it went very well. And we also think it went very well. The topics were well received. The networking was, as usual, very much appreciated. People were energized, just glad to see each other again. Great to see product on display. Feedback's been really, really outstanding. Now, we only had, a little over 500 people, but we did have almost 300 people online. So in total, very similar numbers to what we typically see.
That's a good size. And also you probably in there, you allowed people who wouldn't normally be able to come up to it to join, which is an increase in your, service area. So that's good.
Yeah, I truly believe in the future we'll continue this hybrid because it does enlarge the scope of your audience.
We have gone to that very much. So a lot of our speakers series are also, people can chime in, even our CEO network meetings. So let's talk about a few of the highlights. What were the highlights this year?
Well, I think there were a few panels that I can continue to see, retweeted or on LinkedIn or in other publications. And one was about the actual EV growth, through the years and how that matches to, what President Biden's executive order of 50% by 2030, and talking about all the other elements that have to be considered to come close to meeting that goal. That was one area that was talked about. The other was the policies then surrounding that, the infrastructure policies. We had a fabulous session on lightweighting and the need for lightweighting, considering electrification and the ability to increase range, improve efficiencies. A good panel on supply chain and risk and resilience and future proofing. And of course, the forecasting panel is always well attended. What do the numbers look like? How much is the semiconductor shortage going to impact? Heck, this morning we saw Toyota is saying 40% globally in September because of semiconductors. This isn't going away soon. And, that was really talked about. We had several great sessions on connected autonomous vehicles and human behavior and why that's so important, and data monetization. So that's just, a few that are, at the top of my mind.
Well, it's interesting because years ago I was at they call it a Senate outreach committee, and we were talking about small business needs, and we were allowed to stay in when they had an update on the, the mobility industry at that time, of course, automotive industry, and the big three CEOs were there, and also Gettelfinger, who was head of the union, and they were talking about the CAFE standards, and they were begging that they were too rigid, etc. And that didn't go well. That was a head-to-head. How are the manufacturers now and the suppliers responding to Biden's call for that increased amount of electricity?
Exactly. Well, they've already made several announcements, both product announcements and plant announcements in terms of, really being ready for this electrification push. From a global perspective, it puts the U.S. in line with several other companies, several other countries, some still a little bit behind, but we're getting closer. So the automakers are positive, but I think we have to realize that this 50% is non-binding. But most of them will have plans in place already to reach a percentage, in the 30 to 50 range. So all of the other parts of the infrastructure bill have to come through, though, to enable. And all the small manufacturing companies that you're talking about, how will they change? How will they adapt, especially those that are dealing with internal combustion engines? We have to find a way, to keep these businesses thriving.
Fewer moving parts in those electric vehicles, that's for sure.
Indeed.
So I understand that sustainability was talked about quite a bit.
Yeah, that's one of the driving topics these days, and it involves environmental, of course, and what are you doing to reduce your overall carbon footprint, be it in your product, being in your plant, in your logistics. Everything is being looked at now from an environmental perspective. Then the social element of sustainability is also very important. If you don't have the right diversity, equity, inclusion initiatives, being able to hire, being able to get good talent, being able to retain that talent is going to become extremely difficult. And of course, governance, how you're managing cybersecurity and all of the issues, related to just doing business properly as a company.
Absolutely. Carla Bailo, thanks so very much. I know there's a million things going on in your life. We appreciate you making time for us. Carla Bailo, President, CEO of the Center for Automotive Research. And there's your report on the management briefing seminars. You're seeing all of this on the Michigan Business Beat on the Michigan Business Network. I'm Chris Holman. We'll be right back.